All right. Hey there. Good afternoon. Almost afternoon, guys. I guess afternoon, evening, wherever you are, right? Good morning here. Just a few minutes after 11 a.m. Central Standard Time here on Tuesday, the 20th of June, 2023. I am Christopher Inks with Texas West Capital. Glad to have you guys checking in with me here just north of Houston, Texas. How are you guys doing? Kind of a little bump up here in Bitcoin this morning, right? Right here before we're going live here. Let me see here. Ahmet, what's going on? Mark is here as well. Mark says vacation was great. Missed out on prime trade setups, but there will be more to come, I'm sure. Great movement last week through the weekend. Yeah, we're looking for that wave 3 to begin pretty soon here, so we'll check on that. Andrew, what's up, man? Brian's here. Data is here. Soren, good to have you coming checking in from Copenhagen there. So awesome, guys. Glad to have you all in here. Man, so, the big news here recently, I guess, is that, we knew last week we found out that BlackRock was filing his Bitcoin ETF. And now we have Fidelity, right? So Fidelity, and this hasn't been confirmed yet. This is just a rumor that seems to be making the rounds right now. Fidelity is the number 3 largest, behind BlackRock and whatnot. The rumor going around is that they're going to launch their own ETF and or make a bid for Grayscale. Now, if we think, so the one thing I've talked to you guys about often is that when you have accumulation, right? Like we're talking about cycle accumulation. So you got like a bear cycle low, right? Into big, macro kind of thing, right? Here in Bitcoin, we've been, we were down for a year plus. So when you get that accumulation, what happens there is retail is very much still lower. Your big players come in and they're coming in and buying up all that, right? So they're buying in what you're selling them. And, for the retail that doesn't understand Wyckoff, it doesn't understand markets and how they work and whatnot, you'll be like, well, who's going to buy? There's always somebody out there to buy, guys. And usually if you're asking, well, who's going to buy? Usually it's not retail, it's your big players, right? Or who's selling? Well, if you've had a long extended move up, well, it's not retail. They're buying in at the tops, right? It is your larger professionals, your institutions, stuff like that. So if we look at, okay, so BlackRock's history is what? 576 ETFs they've submitted over the years. 575 have been approved. So one has to assume that if they're making this bid to come in with an ETF right now, they know something you don't know. Their track record is that good, right? And then if on top of that, we've got Fidelity coming in and doing the same thing. Well, guess what, guys? All of a sudden, can you start imagining who you've been selling to? Yeah, you. Every one of y'all have been selling because you're freaking out, thinking it's been, thinking it had to go lower since the bottom, since that, 15, 16,000 area last November. All of you have been selling since last June when we made that first low that began the accumulation phase, right? So Ahmed, check yourself, man. I'm not going to play your games today. I'm just going to boot you. I'm serious, man. We're not going to play these stupid games where you come in playing your little thing, all right? So just chill or get going. It's as simple as that today. I'm not in the mood, man. Suleiman, what's going on, man? And yes, I'm still bullish. Why wouldn't you be? You'd be stupid not to be. Yeah, I use the word stupid because we went through accumulation from last June all the way through, when is it that we went through there? Just a few months back, right? When we broke out of the range there, and then we pulled back for the last few months, doing what we call a back up to the edge of the creek, right? So again, if you don't understand Wyckoff, then you're going to be running around thinking, oh God, we got to go down lower. Okay. And I get it. You don't understand it. I get it. You make stupid comments. I'm not necessarily talking about you right here, Matt, though you've made some pretty choice comments, over the last whatever streams. So because why am I being rude? I don't know that I'm being rude. I'm just telling you the way it is, man. I'm tired of the nonsense. You come in here time after time and you do a lot of nonsense. I'm just tired of it, man. You're sitting here doing your thing. You don't listen. You want to be right all the time, and you're rarely right. That's the problem. But you don't listen to the bigger picture. That's what it is. Okay? So I'm just warning you ahead of time. I'm not in the mood today to deal with it. And that's the great thing about having your own channel, right? You can say whatever you want. You know, you can boot people if you want to. But this is the problem. When you guys, if you come in here and you act like a jerk multiple times, this is going to be my approach to you, because you haven't earned any other approach. You don't listen. You don't pay attention. You make comments that make no sense based on things that you think I said, which I didn't say, right? And it becomes a stupid thing that we got to deal with. And I don't like dealing with it. So anyway, we've been in accumulation since last June, guys, okay? Up until a few months back. We did the back of Ancient Creek. We'll look at the chart here in a minute. And you'll see that, right? And so, you know, again, this is where, you know, bears are just, you know, people want to be bears. I don't understand it. You know, it's not even bearish, bullish, guys. Just trade the price action, right? I mean, you know, you guys get so caught up in terms. The problem is when you use terms like bearish or bullish, psychologically, that puts you in the position where you feel like you have to choose one or the other. And that's the way it is. And you can't change your mind. You can't do all these other things. And that's how you lose in trading, guys. Just trade in the direction of the trend, right? If it's trending up, buy. If it's trending down, sell. I mean, it really isn't that difficult. As I continue to tell you guys, trading is simple. It's not easy, though. And it's not easy for precisely the reason I just said, right? You have all this psychological stuff, all this emotional stuff going on in you. And then you don't listen, right? When somebody's talking, you hear what you want to hear, and you don't actually listen to what's being said. And this is shown by the comments that we get all the time, right? You know, again, guys, if you're here for the first time or the first couple times here, I'll give you my thoughts on what I think is going to happen, and then I give you validation levels. And then if we go through the validation level, you've got targets. I have targets, right? I also give you an invalidation level, and if it goes through the invalidation level, then we've got targets to the downside. That's how you trade, guys. But, you know, many times as retail, you come in very emotional, right? And you feel like, oh my God, I have to be, you know, it's either bullish or bearish. I can't change my mind, whatever. And again, as I tell you guys over and over again, you should be, whatever your opinion is, you hold it until new information comes in that maybe says differently. If that information comes in and it says differently, then you change your opinion, right? But stop getting caught up in the whole bullish or bearish narrative. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of your effort. Honestly, guys, it's going to screw you up. So let me see here. So where was I at? Okay, so BlackRock, think about this. If BlackRock's coming in with their ETF, right? And, you know, Fidelity's looking at an ETF and potentially buying Grayscale. I mean, Grayscale's got what, 660,000 Bitcoin, right? 660,000 Bitcoin, guys. That's huge for Fidelity to come in there for their move, because, you know, they opened what, 2018, they opened their Fidelity digital assets management area, right? Of their business. 2018, they did that, right? And we know last few years, you know, they've been making name, you know, making noise, kind of opening up their, you know, their whole thing for crypto, right? So if they're coming in, they're buying up 660,000 Bitcoin in there. I mean, geez. Now that isn't new Bitcoin out there, but that's a trend for that. That helps DGC get out of the issue they're having if they can sell Grayscale. But Grayscale is their, you know, their big money maker. We've talked about this, you know, last time when everybody was all worried about, oh, they're going to sell off all the Bitcoin. I said, no, you know, doesn't make any sense. They're making what, $400, $500, $600 million a year in management fees? That's stupid. They're going to sell, if they're going to do it, they're going to sell the whole thing, right? And so that's potentially this. Now, again, the Fidelity thing is just a rumor right now. We don't actually have confirmation on this. But, man, if you got BlackRock coming in, you got Fidelity coming in, man, oh, man, you know, if you need a narrative, there's your narrative. If you don't understand accumulation and distribution structures, if you don't understand Wyckoff, then, yeah, you know, if you need a narrative, I think there's your narrative. And they're coming in having already, you know, accumulated, especially since June through now, right? So all that Bitcoin y'all been scared and selling and whatnot is going right into their pockets. That's the way it works, guys. So are you ready for that? 305 days until the halving. Are you ready? I'm going to tell you right now, you don't own enough Bitcoin, right? And this is from a guy who's not necessarily a Bitcoiner or anything. I'm a trader. But, you know, if history, you know, is any indication, you know, when we hit that halving, we're going to, you know, kind of really get going, right? So as a trader, yes, we should. Okay. Now, do we need that? Again, the halving is a narrative, guys. We can show the whole movement as I've done before on the macro, weekly and monthly time frames. We've shown, it's just Elliott wave counts, right? It's just Elliott wave counts. And, corrections or distributions or Wyckoff distribution areas, accumulation or just those pullbacks, right? Like a wave, wave 2, accumulation, wave 4 kind of thing, right? Reaccumulation. Wave 5, top wave 5 becomes distribution. So, I mean, again, guys, I talk about these things because that's what you want to hear. But at the end of the day, we can do this trading all day long, and we don't need to know a damn thing about what's going on with the news. We don't need to know a damn thing about what's going on with the news. You got that, guy? Do you guys, that makes sense? Because this is what I've been trying since I've been doing these live streams with y'all to get you to understand, right? I'm getting you to understand that everything is already in the charts. And you go, but how can it be, Chris? You didn't know that BlackRock was going to come in this. No. But what we know is people let us know how they feel with their purchases. Okay? Business owners let us know how they feel with whether they're hiring or firing or raising production or decreasing production. Okay? We let us know how we feel by whether we're buying their stocks or not, or just stocks in general or not, or we're buying bonds or something like that, right? The financial markets, the stock market, crypto, stuff like that. This is the quickest, easiest way to understand what that social mood is. So it happens there, shows up in the charts. And then news events happen around these extensions, around these target areas. But most people come into trading, and many of y'all probably still do as well, where you look at the chart, you go, oh my gosh, this news event's happening here, so this is going to happen with the chart. But that's why you're always behind, right? That's why we're always behind. You're always chasing price. You don't want to be chasing price, right? So, just a thought there, okay? Let me see here. Kind of catch up with you guys here. But yeah, so anyway, news events, all narratives, if you haven't gotten to the point where you understand that the markets lead everything else, right? Because they're a product of what the social mood is. If you haven't gotten to that point yet, then there's your narratives. And so if you're going on narratives, BlackRock, potentially Fidelity coming in, prices rallied as it has, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? There's your narrative for accumulation having happened. Your narrative for new all-time highs, of course, is halving, right? Does that make sense, guys? Does sense? Kimasabi says, what'd you say there? I've seen many posts that BlackRock has been buying this past pullback, and to every post I respond, they've been buying since June 2022. Yeah, exactly. Since the beginning of that accumulation structure. Exactly. Let me see here. Aeroquin says, I do agree the halving is a narrative. I think the macro impulsive moves in Bitcoin was largely backed by the easiest money policy in the history of the U.S. throughout the 2010s. Low rates coupled with money printing allowed for Bitcoin to go parabolic every few years. Now imagine if we had high rates and less money printing for a few decades. Bitcoin likely underperforms greatly. I think that's oversimplifying it, honestly. I know that's kind of what Raoul says out there, but I think that's really, with GMI, Raoul Paul, I think that's just oversimplifying it. There's, if you guys have been here for years and listened to me, we've talked about all the different things like banks and how they work, reverse repo, how that works, all these kind of things. And it's always multifaceted, right? It's always a lot of things have a lot of moving parts, right? And what that means is it's not as simple as one does this and so something else does this. Because within all those moving parts, one could do this, and then all these little things could rebalance a different way and not really affect this, right? Does that make sense? So an example of that is when we were talking about this, this treasury refilling the coffers right there. And we were talking about the idea that there was this estimation that 6 weeks from the debt ceiling agreement that, Treasury would be sucking the liquidity out, right? And we talked about that. And then I said, but what if a lot of liquidity is actually coming from the reverse repo facility? You got to think about it. We've been talking about reverse repo for a few years now and how that has steadily just become so freaking ridiculously huge, right? So what happens now with treasuries, if you guys may not understand, I've mentioned this multiple times before, but if you're investing, right? If you're banks, if you stuff like that, especially the U.S. treasuries are what we call pristine collateral, right? That and MBSs, right? And so this is what, if you're loaning, if you're borrowing money, this is what you want to hold. This is the collateral that you want to hold, right? The idea that the U.S. won't default on its debt. Case in point, a month ago, right? So everybody was worried about all liquidity getting sucked out. And yet here we are, right? Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to maybe still get some liquidity pulled out, but it's not like all of a sudden. I mean, here we are, guys. We're almost, 4 weeks later already? And we haven't had a significant outflow or a significant decrease in liquidity, right? And if you look at reverse repo, the money going into those treasuries being sold seems to be coming from there. So it's what we were talking about. Okay? So yeah, again, guys, we've got things when it comes to macro. I always talk to you guys about keeping things simple, but you can't keep things too overly simple when you're talking about the macro stuff because there are so many moving parts in there. All right. So just a thought on that. So I don't know, I think there's an effect. I think a decrease in liquidity has effect. When I say liquidity, I mean government not printing, right? And actually doing what they've been doing, which is, they've been selling off how much, in terms of treasuries, the Federal Reserve has, right? Treasuries and MBSs and whatnot, they've been selling off, right? QT. And so they've been doing that. Right? We got last year, we got the first time that there's been a decrease in M2 money supplies since like 1950 something, right? Huge, 70 years, something like that. But the thing is, guys, Western governments, they're debt-based economies, and so they require inflation. Doesn't mean they require like 10 or 20%, but they require an increase or a consistent inflation, right? And, the way you do that, really the easiest way to do it is, you print money, right? So we should expect that overall money printing continues. Now everybody freaks out, goes, oh my God, the U.S. is at the highest, debt level ever, blah, blah, blah. But, here's the thing, guys. The debt level in and of itself means nothing. Can you service that debt? That's the question. And as long as you can service that debt, you're fine. This is the same thing we talked about with dollars, right? Everybody's like, oh my God, there's all those dollars. Well, as long as there's demand for dollars, you're not going to get hyperinflation. As long as there's, a significant demand for those dollars coming in, right? You're not going to get hyperinflation. And then everybody starts with their narratives. Oh, BRICS. Oh, de-dollarization. Oh, blah, blah, blah. But the problem with that is you have to actually be correct. You have to actually be right on that. Before you even figure out what the results are, if you're right on what maybe the results are, you have to be right on the whole de-dollarization, BRICS, blah, blah, blah. So again, stop following the narratives and the news and all that stuff. It's just going to drive you crazy. You're going to go nuts. You're going to get analysis paralysis. You're going to buy when you should be selling. You're going to sell when you should be buying. Learn to listen to the charts. Learn to figure out what the charts are saying. That's what we do that, right? So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with everything. Let's see here. What do we have already here? Let's look at the dollar first. We'll give Bitcoin a minute to kind of cool off before we say anything on that, right? Let me see here. Let's put this up. There we go. All right. So here we are is the dollar, right? This is the dollar futures. And so we've got this wave 3, it looks like, down here around the daily S1 pivot. Wave 4 target, initial target was the hourly pivot here, which we've hit. And so, you know, again, that'll give us a retracement of, let's see here. That gives us a 38.2 retracement. That's our initial target. If we keep on rallying up, 102.68 becomes like that secondary target. You know, that's that 50% retracement. But the idea is basically that we have a leading diagonal going on here for 1. Okay. And then we've got, you know, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 3. Here comes 4. And we'll look for, you know, again, the expectations we get rejected here at the daily pivot. We drop on down to the S1 pivot down here, right about 101.1. As you can see, that is the 2.0 extension off this wave 1 and 2. Gives us wave 5. And of course, if you were to kind of measure this out, that just about gets you there. 101.1 right there. So, you know, again, this is the expected move that we'll have this coming down here. All right. So yeah. And then wave 2 is going to have initial target of wave 4 up here. So you get down here around 101, 101.1, and then you rally back up here. You know, if this is wave 4 is done here at about 102.4, and then you're getting ready for 3 down. So then you have 1, 2, and so then you have 3 of 3, and yeah, it should be the big move. And again, you're going to get down here at least to 95.8, probably a little bit further than that on that. So still looking for further decline in the dollar. There's nothing going up in here to you know, to suggest that we should head out higher or anything like that. Looks like we're coming down lower up, okay? Or coming down lower, all right? Let me see here. So interestingly, before we jump into Bitcoin here, let's take a look at GBTC here. And so again, this is the point and figure chart here. I mean, this is your, you know, your accumulation here, right? This is all your accumulation. This is your accumulation right here. This is the back up the edge of the creek. And now we're looking for that rally up higher off that, right? Here's the thing. Based on this structure right here, we've got about a $50 target, which gets us pretty close to the all-time highs up here. Based on this structure down here. When you do a point and figure and you do a Wyckoff version of point and figure counting, it's just that. So, I mean, you know, right now, all we've done is kind of pull back in this area here. And so just looking for a rally up, right? Which means, obviously, if GBTC is going to go up, then, you know, Bitcoin should be going up, right? So let's jump on over here to Bitcoin. All right, this is the futures here because it's a clean chart, easy to see. I did mention right here, right before we had the final swing low right there, I said, in case nobody's told you, this is where you should be looking for crypto entries. May not be right this second, but likely very soon, so pay attention. And of course, we had this basically this bullish SFP down here, and then we had a rally up. We rallied through this descending resistance, large candle spread, large spike of volume. That's what you want to see. That's good. We're rallying up to the channel resistance here. Okay. So now the idea is we're looking for a breakout of this resistance. Really, we want to kind of get above this swing high up here at 29,910 here on the futures. Basically, the idea is that this is you know, like an A, B, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here as an ending diagonal. So if this is way B, then that's where we want to get out. Usually what happens here when you make your final low before you're going to break out of descending channel resistance or wedge resistance, often you'll rally up toward it, you'll pull back, and then you'll break out. We got a very little pullback here because again, usually it's the third wave that's the big pull out here. Okay. I think it's got, again, This is where you get wave 3, this big multi-month resistance. That's where you need that wave 3. So if we look here, I had a count. My count has been that this is 1, and we were working on 2, right? Let me see if I can just kind of put something in here. All right. Now, with that, wave 2, right around the hourly pivot. You came in sideways between the pivot and the R1. You get rejected around the R1. You kind of come on back, right? Now, we got this breakout higher here. Now, if I'm looking at that, I mean, again, you can sit here. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B. But see, this looks like 3 down. So I would look like maybe an ABC, and then maybe an ABC, and then get 5 back down here as a flat correction. So that's kind of the idea right now. This is what I'm looking at. Maybe we've got a flat correction in progress. Okay. So what I'm looking for a rejection prior to a breakout here. We've got a lot of volume coming in down here. Again, this is ABC, so that could be done as it is. That could be done, could be heading up. But it depends on what happens here. Let me kind of zoom in a little bit more here for you guys. 15 minutes, where I wanted to go. There we go. See, if I look at this, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it's possible. Again, this could be done. This could be, 1, 2, 3, 4. So A, B, C here, right? This could be complete as it is. My only problem with this is just a very short. It's just a very short, pullback. Now, the thing with that is, if Bitcoin's really, really bullish, if a market is really bullish, you'll get these short wave 2 pullbacks and you'll break out higher there. We are about to hit that though, right? Let me see here. Yeah. So we're going to see if this gets rejected here and comes back. If it does, it's expanded flat. So I think, we kind of at least head on down here toward 26,570 at least. But, you could get a much bigger drop back down here toward 25.5. We're rallying up. It just depends on if we get out of here or not right now. This is a pretty bullish move off here as it is, right? So if we do pull back, looking at maybe around 26,570, and then where's that S1? Why is the S1 not showing up here? Let me see. Interesting. S1 is not showing up. Should be fine. Oh, there we go. Nope. Huh. All right. Well, I guess it's not going to show us the pivots for some reason on 15-minute here. Kind of crazy. But I was looking at that 15-minute S1 pivot, which will probably get us a bit lower here, maybe 26.4 or something like that. And then kind of looking at potentially down here to this hourly pivot. Okay. That's kind of the way I would look at this. But once we're breaking out through here, it should be a large candle spread, large volume, gets us on a wave 3. And like I said, at that point, we're kind of looking to get above this. Here on the CME chart here, it's like right around 29. Dang it. Right up here around 29,910. That's really kind of the next place we're looking to get through there. Now, if you want to do it this way, you can, of course, look at what is going there. Is it? There we are. You can look at the daily pivot here as a definite, you want to see a breakout above that. Why is that not showing up there? Whatever. Seems like nothing's working today. It's all good. So we'll just put that on there. And so, yeah. Now, as you can see here on your daily, right, you've got a lot of room to go on your Stochk RSI and RSI here. Jumping to the 4 hour. 4 hour is still overbought, but curled down. Your 1 hour Stochk RSI has some room, but as you can see here, as you're making higher high, you're making lower high, as you're making lower low, and higher low. So you're getting like a bearish divergence, bullish divergence, bearish divergence kind of following through as we're coming off that. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. You know, once again, you want to look for an impulsive breakout above the descending channel resistance, which is just above this swing high here now. And then the daily pivot there around 27,660. If you can break out impulsively above that daily pivot and stay out above it, you know, I mean, that should be all she wrote. You know, your next target's that 29,910 kind of area here on the futures. And then, of course, your swing high. And then you're heading up toward, you know, up toward your 40,000s. And potentially even, like I said, that that point and figure chart there for GBTC has that $50 target equivalent to around, you know, 50 grand or so here on Bitcoin. So, you know, I don't see, I know a lot of people that makes them upset. They're like, because they don't understand, because they don't know Wyckoff and they don't know this, so they don't understand point and figure charting and how to get targets and stuff like that. But, you know, if it's something you don't know, you know, I don't know, as human beings, we tend to, you know, laugh at and, you know, make fun of things we don't understand. You know, people did that when they thought the earth was flat and, you know, Galileo was saying, no, it's round. People make fun of him there, but, you know, it does, you know, the way that we kind of go through our lives in trading, I would suggest that you don't do that. I mean, you can not agree with something because you don't understand it. But I think psychologically and emotionally, when you go beyond just disagreeing with it, I think it really creates an emotional bias in your position, which means you're going to have trouble changing what you think when things change, right? When new information comes in. Does it make sense? So, yeah. Suleiman, what's up? He says you were looking for a short entry at these levels yesterday. Would you still consider that? If it gives me a reason to. Right now, I'm not going to short into this thing not giving us confirmation of any kind of rejection here. No. I'm not just going to short just because it's at this level. No. I need some kind of confirmation, you know, on these shorter time frames here to suggest that we may be. And I don't know, you know, this is a strong move up. I may just not even short this. I may just wait for the pullback and look to long it on that because of the strength shown right here. Does that make sense? Let me see here. Let me see here. I'm kind of catch up with what you guys are saying here. Aeroquin says, Bitcoin dominance tagged your level. Do you think it has more juice or should we expect this to be our local top? Yeah. And no. I don't know. Again, these targets are, just generally expected targets. We have to see what happens at the targets, right? So I've got a chart here. Where is my my chart? Let's see here. Right here. There it is. Yeah. So it hit my level. Now, what I look for here is I see, okay, well, we've still got pivots up here on this daily. So since we're getting through my target area here, I would suggest we're probably going above the R5. And if I zoom in here on this chart, let me make sure here. You guys can't see that black. I can barely see it, but yeah. Okay. So basically, you know, we kind of be looking at a 1, 2 here. Let me turn these white so we can see them. And then minuscule. By the way, if we get rejected up here where Bitcoin is, it'll probably be a pretty hard, sharp drop once we finally do. All right. So that could be 3, 4 there. And then we get like a 1, 2, maybe a 3, 4, and a 5 come up here. So I think there's a good possibility we may be heading up here toward the R5, maybe even a bit higher on this dominance. Now, this is just based on the idea that my overall count off the lows is correct, right? This count that we've been working on, right? Now, there's nothing in here saying that this can't be an overextended wave 3, for instance. So you get a 3, you get a 4, and you'll still get a 5 higher. We could still even have that. But right now, we kind of play with what we have, right? And so right now, the counts suggest that we're maybe getting long in the tooth on the 5 here. But by the way, guys, just because dominance is going up, or if dominance were to pull back, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin has to drop. Do you guys understand that? All it means is Bitcoin's dominance in relation to everything else, right? So what usually happens is we usually see dominance top out before price, right? Because as less people are involved in the 5th wave, say, of Bitcoin, right, they're going to take that money out, rotate it into alts. And so you see alts start picking up, you know, decreasing that Bitcoin dominance. But as Bitcoin continues to go up to still play wave 5, right? So those things still happen. So, I mean, just because it comes down doesn't mean that Bitcoin has to come down at that time. I hope that makes sense, everybody, okay? Let me see here. Ryan, what's up? He says, everybody's saying alts are dead. Makes me think it's time to start scouting for relative strength very shortly. Yeah, you should already be looking at alts. Yeah, you should already be looking for potential trades. Not that it means you have to get in right now, but, you know, again, you could be, you should be looking for them, right? So, I mean, this is kind of how we're going with things. Let me jump into some charts here real quick. Speaking of alts, right? Here's Dogecoin. Doge looks like we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is C here, right down to the demand structure EQ, bouncing out. Weekly, this is the weekly, by the way. And you can see that Stochh RSI is almost nearing bottomed out here and oversold. So what are we looking for? Well, first thing we're looking for is a breakout above this descending resistance here. So probably around 8 cents or so. And then we're looking really for a breakout above wave B here at 10.5 cents. If we can break out above that, that should add confidence to the count. Wave 3's got a minimum expected target at 22.865 cents. Okay? By the way, you can note that this bottom here is forming right here where we have this previous area of support here, right? As we look at this, we can see that volume is dropping down through all this, right? You have this one bit of volume as you rally up and try to come in again. So, but it's lower volumes on those lower highs as you're going down there. And then here we are down at the lows, very low volume here. And the low for volume over here was this. So we've got lower volume on this higher low here. So it's possible that we're looking at, you know, your selling climax, automatic rally, secondary test. Comes on down here, secondary test phase B. Comes down to a last point of support. And then we rally back up. And that's what we're looking for. Head up there. Mark says, I won't lie, those targets do excite. Doge is the reason I was able to join TWC Tier 3. So for right now, for right or wrong, it holds a special spot in my heart. Yeah, man. Doge was always so much fun to trade. Really, back before y'all came in and ruined it all. You used to have this nice cycle we used to just have fun with it. It was so easy. But yeah, so I mean, I'm looking for this. No, you know, as always, guys, you know, if you're actually paying attention, then you heard what I said, which is you need to get above wave B to confirm this, right? Or to add confidence to it, right? If you didn't hear what I said, all you heard me say was, this is the bottom and we're going up. So I'm sure one way or the other, especially if it doesn't go up because of the lower, we'll hear from people who didn't actually listen, even though I just pointed it out here, right? But yeah, so I mean, and legit, if this is good, then we should be looking for a breakout higher above that 75-cent area. So I mean, if you're buying a bag of anything for funsies, for potential money, right? I mean, I think Doge should be one of those that people generally should do if they're going to do that anyway. If you're going to put money into something anyway, Doge is tried and true, right? Tried and true. And so you got a great potential return on this. It goes up there. Let me see here. Now, I don't know, anybody still into meme coins like Pepe? In case you are, I've been kind of still watching it here. You remember we got this top up here, which was great. And I believe we're still in wave 4 here. I believe that we just finished wave 4 of C of 4. And so that should give us a target down here at 66640. Now, again, what you really need to say, okay, wave 4 is likely done and wave 5 is in progress, you need to break out above wave B here at 208,859. Prior to that, if the count is correct, then you're looking for a drop down here to a new low, right? And then you're looking for a breakout above wave 4, which is 105,393. Because if you break out above wave 4 and the count is correct, then wave 5 can't subdivide any lower. So these 5 would have to be correct here. Again, if the count is correct, right? But that, that's how you do that trade, right? That's how you do it. Now, initial target right there at 66,640, just in case maybe wave 3 here is overextending or something, we have a secondary target at 3678 right there. Okay. So, if you're still holding from way up here, what were you thinking, right? But you may be getting a chance to start seeing this thing rally up. And by the way, if we do rally off this 66,640, that gives us a minimum expected wave 5 target up at 687,945. So that would be about, oops. It's right up there, almost 1,000%, right? 950% or so up there. Let me see here. Some Bitcoin related stocks. Coinbase still looking good. We've been talking about that, looking for the breakout above this resistance right here, right around, I don't know, $62 or so. Really, again, we need a breakout above wave B here at 85.38 to signal that wave 5 is most likely in progress up toward a minimum expected target of 136.60. Again, as far as this ranging goes here, I love that we get all this volume right down here at the low. And then we get this big candle back up, filled in that gap, pulled back. Here we are trying to break out above that gap fill now, heading up. Let me see here. Let me see. Riot is another one that I like, guys, that I've been talking about for a while now, right? And here we are, still looking good. We're looking for a breakout. I mean, you can say an impulsive breakout above this daily pivot and the descending channel or descending wedge resistance. So right there at around 1175 to, I don't know, 1215. If you can get an impulsive breakout above that, we should be good to go. But definitely a breakout above wave B here at $12.90 gives us a minimum expected wave 5 up here at $17.50. Basically the weekly R1 pivot. And that should give us, it looks like, 5 up. And if so, a rejection area should see us coming back down here toward the weekly pivot. What is this? 10.5 to $10.75, $10.5 to 10.75. That should be wave 2. And then we'd look for a wave 3, which would likely rally up here around 33.75. Okay. So I think that's looking pretty good as well. Let me see here. You said MSTR? Is that what you were saying there? Yeah. MicroStrategy. Oops. Well, this old chart I got on here. Let's see what we got on this old chart. Yeah, look at MicroStrategy. Big accumulation here from, let me see here, from May of last year. We were looking for a potential rally up. We didn't. We got a pullback so far. We haven't broken out yet. Let me go and get rid of this, and we'll kind of well, let's update on a new chart. What's today, 20th? Let's see here. All right, let's do it this way. All right, let's kind of get rid of this stuff here real quick so we can look at this in terms of this range here. And this is what accumulation looks like, guys. Let me see here. Well, one of the ways it looks, right? So basically selling climax, automatic rally, secondary test, pushes up, comes on down. Spring, show of strength, last point of support, show of strength. Looks like we're getting this to pull back. So it looks like we're getting ready here. We're kind of range bound locally here. Same thing as Bitcoin, right? Kind of doing this thing here. Looks like it wants to break out. Again, similar to Bitcoin, a multi-month pullback. But yeah, I mean, if we're looking at this here, look at this. You get this big shoot of volume here, and you just barely get a dip below the swing low here. You get this spring, and then boom, rallies right back up. You don't need a lot of volume because it was used right here. All that selling was done right there, right? Let me see here. So if I look at this just real quick here, it looks like maybe a 1, 2. I still white. Let's change this. This is the weekly. Let's go ahead and pull this out some here. We'll go with the minor here, right? So it looks like maybe 1 and then a flat correction for a 2 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Potentially gives us another 1, 2, where's the low here? 266, 266.55, 266.51. So it's this one right here, this white candle. So, I mean, the MSTR count very similar to Bitcoin's count. And so from here, how far do we get this pullback? Because you get an ABC. So WX ABC is Y. I mean, God, that's clean, guys. It's clean. We got a 50% pullback. Guys, I don't know. If you have to be convinced, I mean, you're not going to make it at this point as a trader until you get to that point where where you're open to listening, right? 522.75 or so. What just happened there? Whoa. Control Z. All right. I hit an extra key on the keyboard, I guess. 522.75. Yeah, I mean that's my wave 3 of 3 there, right? Minimum expected. Obviously could go higher, right? The wave 3 here would have an initial target. This is a larger degree wave 3. Oh, I can't get it to work. Come on. There we go. Oh, let's see here. You see that wave 3 is wave 2 there. So, I mean, it's perfect. Yeah. So, wave 3 would be that 583 area, which means wave 5 is probably getting closer up here to around 740 or so. So, yeah, I mean, MSTR looking good. Looking good, right? What's going on, Michael? Good to see you checking in. Let me see here. So, yeah. So, I mean, again, 1, 2, 1, 2, similar to what we're looking at for Bitcoin, right? A great looking accumulation range down here as we did this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gave you 5 down into that, right? So, but we need the breakout here higher. I mean, right now it could still be ABC. I mean, technically it could still be ABC. But if we get that breakout above the swing high here at 347.63, well, now all of a sudden we have at least 5 waves up, and then we start looking up here toward that 522.75 kind of area. All right. Let's see here. Gold. I guess we'll pull gold here since that just popped up. Weekly, you can see that we're dipping down into oversold on the Stochh RSI. This rally here, it's possible we could have one more push higher up here to 2178.60 kind of area from the current pullback low. 2178.60. And that would give us then that 5 waves up potentially on that. So basically looking at this like a 1, 2, and then maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. It is, again, depending on how you want to count this, it may be 1 done and 2 on the pullback. If we keep pulling back and break down lower, we're going to look initially right here around that 1875 kind of area as that target. And then potentially even down here around 1836 or so. Those would be kind of the targets if we do kind of break down more impulsively from here. Right now, it's possible we have an ABCW as an X and then an ABC as Y here potentially. So just something to keep on watching the gold there, but overall looking bullish, looking for new all-time highs, whether it's right now or we get a bit further pullback and then it happens. Again, we'll be looking much higher, right? If we get the pullback, let me see here. Yeah, if we get continued pullback toward let me get this over here. Yeah, you see how that's almost the those target areas there. They're right there between the 38.2 and 50, and then right there just beyond the 50, right above the high volume node. So yeah, if I'm looking at that, let's say a 50% area. I mean, all of a sudden, wave 3 is up here around 26, and wave 5 is up here around 27.82.5. Now, obviously, that should pale in comparison to the returns you're going to get with Bitcoin. So choose your fighter appropriately, right? But again, big range here. Yeah, we just want to see that follow up through, continue up there with that. So what else do we got here? We've got wheat futures. These look like they may be topped out or nearly so. Right up and getting up into this low volume node area here at around 721, almost there, right there around 712 right now. And so, we'll look for wheat to kind of turn over and roll down. You can see that the daily is well overbought for a while. Stochh RSI is just hitting overbought. So again, could still kind of push up a bit further here into maybe 720 or 723. But ultimately looking around this area to kind of get a reversal and drop down, which should get us down here at least to 487. I'm sorry, 48.74 here. 48.74 here. So, again, we're right there around that. Yeah, up there. So about that 487 area. Yeah, 487.4 right there. That would be where I'd look if we're kind of getting this rejection around this area on that pullback. And it's hard to be bearish when the price of wheat is dropping, guys, right? It's hard to be bearish. Wheat's a commodity. Commodities tend to rally when people are scared, right? Let me see here. Qs, guys. We've been talking about the Qs for a while here. Back here, this was on, let me see here. Name. On 12/27 is when I put this chart together. It's actually right around this area. And so you can see we've hit the target. We had the target up here at about 368. and we've hit that. That is the weekly, just beyond the weekly R1 pivot. Looking for a rejection in this area. As you can see, we've been well oversold for since March here on the weekly Stochk RSI. RSI has been oversold since about a month, since around the 22nd of May. And so looking for a rejection somewhere in this area to send us on back down here toward this blue range right above the weekly pivot. What is this? Right around 315 or so, maybe. Dip a little bit below that. And then, of course, we'd look to want to get long again on that. But we'll see what happens here. You know, we still got to get that rejection here. If we don't, let me see here. I don't know. I look at this and say, okay, maybe this is an ABC here, 1, 2, and then we get an A, B, C is 3, 4, and then we get an A, B, C is 5. So maybe this whole thing is leading diagonal here, looking for that breakdown, which means it should be a pretty sharp breakdown at first, at least, when it finally does. We're looking to get that rejection here. If we keep on coming up higher here, I don't know, maybe we'll look here around right in that low volume node, right around 383.5 maybe. It's low volume node over here. As you can see, that gets us right here to this support resistance area. So, yeah. If we do break out higher, that's where I'd be looking, about another 20 bucks. And then again, looking for that pullback down here toward this kind of high volume node area, maybe 320 even, depending if we get that push up there. All right, guys. Let me see here. Plus, I got Apple. Apple looks like a WXY correction here. It is possible that this is going to be an ABC up here, so we get a flat correction, kind of like what I was talking about on Bitcoin. And if we do, we'd see a rejection probably around this area, and then see it kind of pull back down here toward 124. Otherwise, if we continue breaking out higher and higher and higher here, well, we've got a 1, 2. Wave 3 is right here around 198.33. So if we continue to break out higher, I'd look up toward that 198 area. If we get rejected here instead and come on back, well, then I want to kind of look back toward the lows here because maybe we've got a flat going on back down toward that. Now, the other possibility is this is a wave 4, and this would be, 3 waves down is A, 3 waves up is B, and then you get C, D, E. So if we get a rejection here, we come down and we find support around this weekly pivot, then it'll look like maybe we've got a triangle going. So A, B, C, D, E, and then go up. Or again, if we do break on down below that, we'll look down here toward the swing low as initial target and suggest that we've got a flat correction going on here. But if we do continue breaking up here, 198.33 is kind of that target there. Okay? So, everybody's out there just constantly, trying to short every time price takes a breather for these stocks and whatnot. And it just these tech stocks, they just continue going. So, kind of like Bitcoin right now with where we're at. Yeah, we're at that area where I was looking to short, but until I see some kind of confirmation of some kind of potential reversal going on, there's no reason to short, right? There's no reason to jump in front of it. Does that make sense, guys? Don't jump in front of a moving train. All right. Link real quick. Link's another one we've been watching. Everybody freaked out on the drop here, but that's all it's done, right? You can notice a decrease in volume through the range here into this spike here, and then we rallied up, and now we're doing pullback. So we're looking at this as potentially being a test of the swing low here of the spring. So this is the weekly. It'll close on Sunday. You want to see a higher low, and you want to see volume lower than what we had on this drop here, which seems pretty easy, right? If we can do that, we'll probably head up, and you should be buying length in at that point, to set up the big move up. We've got what appears to be this accumulation range here for right now, still 371 days so far. For that selling climax over, descending channel resistance, high volume node again. Should be looking right. If we can take that out, there's no reason to think that we're not going to head up higher there, right? So, Goog had a great move. Michael says the wave one target that he showed a number of weeks back. Yeah, I mean, if it's tech, basically, you know, again, guys, if it's tech, you know, it's looking good, right? What do we got here? Come on. There we go. Let's see here. So I was looking at potentially having this done up here. We did get the breakdown through the descending support here. A nice big breakdown, large candle down into support here. It looks like we've done an ABC up. So we're going to look to head lower down on it now. Let me see here. If it looks like this may be ABC down, ABC up. So this could be an expanded flat. And if so, that gives us a wave 5 down here to around 111.93, which would fill in this daily gap here from Thursday, May 11th. We'd fill that in with that. So yeah, I mean, you know, again, we hit that supply structure EQ there, supply cluster. We're having trouble right around the high volume node. Looking to move down into this low volume node area here. Fill that gap in. Where's the weekly on this? Weekly's way down there around 107. Yeah, so I mean, we could see it continue a bit further down toward that 107 at the weekly. You know, again, rally up into the weekly R1 pivot area, pull back to the pivot, and rally up. So it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good so far. GME. Man, Bitcoin just keeps on pushing, doesn't it? It don't want to give up. So GME, I've got this chart right here, which said that we were done up here and pulling back here. Again, looking for a pullback down here toward the daily pivot right now. That'll be right around $22 or so, $22.30. And that'll give us almost a 50% pullback. Continuing to go down gives us the 61.8 there, around $20. And then the 70.5 at around 19, which puts us right around that wave 4 swing low. So we'll look better, but I think right now, you know, we've still got a lot of room on RSI and Stochh RSI to drop on down further. Yeah, we're below the hourly pivot right now. Just filled in this Tuesday, June 13th gap. Yeah, we'll go with this for right now while it is. Obviously, if we break out higher, that's going to invalidate the count. You know, larger time frames looks like it needs to pull, like it wants to pull back further, but the shorter time frame, really short time frames, are kind of questionable. So, you know, until we're getting some significant move, you know, breakout there, I would still look lower on that. Let me see, what does that weekly look like? Yeah, look at that weekly. Wow, we're well overbought here on Stochh RSI. RSI, of course, is not. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if we can get some continuation lower here toward those targets. Let's jump on back over here. Well, let me see here. No, I was looking for, let's look for NVIDIA real quick, since we've been talking about that one. It's getting, if it hasn't hit it yet, it's getting near our target there. Oh yeah, look at that hourly on NVIDIA, just crossing bullishly. We have that initial target up there at $450, and then potentially a push up to 503. Yeah. So still, those targets still looking good from I think it was last week, wasn't it? But that hourly looks like it wants to push a bit more. Daily's got a lot of, still got a bit of room here on the Stochk RSI. Right now we're printing lower high, bearish divergence here, higher highs in price, lower highs in the oscillator. But that's only, unless the oscillator closes above, right, and gives us a higher high on it as well. So it's too early. It's not bearish divergence yet. It could potentially be, but we're still trying to push higher here. It looks like. So yeah, same target still there. Looks pretty good on it. Let's see here. Yeah, we got that breakout higher there. That 1 hour is overbought there. 4 hour remains overbought. We've just kind of come up to the daily pivot here. Looks like they moved off a bit. There we go. Still got room on that daily though. See, these are one of those points where price is just so strong as it continues to go up. You just, you don't want to get out of it too soon. You just want to kind of keep riding it until it gives you a reason not to, right? This looks like 3 up here though. So all right, I guess we're going to go back to this right here. Actually, because it looks like we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're working on 5 here. That's what it looks like at the moment. I guess on this right here, well, we got 1, 2, right? If we look at these futures, get you your 2 there, your 1 there. And if we look at that, we measure that out. 1618 right here. So again, you look at 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? This gives you a very shallow 2. So I'm just, when we get shallow 2s like that again, it could be an indication that the market's extremely bullish. But you always want to be careful about it. Again, could be a flat correction kind of coming back down at us. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know which way it is at the moment here. That 15 minutes is stretched out. Man, look at that volume coming in on that one right before we get to the breakout. It's just such a short pullback. That's my only thing here. I'm trying to figure out. It's so dang short. Again, if we were to, well, here we go. We got to measure it out here. It's right there, just prior to that 23.6. I don't know. Could this maybe be wave 1 finishing up there? It might even just be wave 1 finishing up. I just, at this point, I don't want to step in front of anything. If we get rejected around this daily pivot here, look for a pullback down here toward at least this kind of 26,400, 26,450 area. And if we lose that, then down here at the, down here around the hourly pivot at about 25.9, 25.950. Right. That's what I mean. That's what I look for. And then we can try and figure out the count on that. It's possible this may still be part of an ending diagonal here. I was thinking we had an ending diagonal right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of thing. But maybe it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're getting 5 here. Could still be that ending diagonal playing out. If it is an ending diagonal, again, you should see a pretty sharp pullback here through all these candles back down there toward, again, looking toward those targets on the low side. So that's what I'm looking at, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for showing up as always. Went through a lot of charts here. Things are looking good overall. Probably a pullback coming in and then big moves coming in, right? But again, remember, guys, you got about 305 days until halving, something like that. So you do not own enough Bitcoin yet. Just saying, right? I don't own enough Bitcoin yet. As always, remember, the only thing you control in the market is how much you lose. So please keep working on that risk management, everybody. I want you guys to trade safe out there. Don't take an entry just because there's a chance. Make sure it's a higher confidence entry, right? Make sure there's some confluence and reasons why to enter. And if you do that, you'll have a lot better chance of being successful, right? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this. I still have 2 of the annual Tier 3 memberships left over from our last sale. And I've been debating about it, but I'm going to go ahead and put them up there. So, you know, it's a year of Tier 3, $600 if you want it. First 2 people to DM me either on Discord or on Twitter, we'll get it. All right. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and get that way and get rid of that. And then we're done with that. $600 for a year. That's $50 a month, basically, guys. You get all our education, 3 live streams a week. Mondays is Wyckoff educational stream. Wednesdays is price action. Thursdays is Elliott Wave. Chart requests, 20 plus assets that are updated daily, intraday, all those things, charts. Just so much. By the way, we haven't done it yet, but we're still getting ready to move Fibbo's threshold theory to give Tier 3 access to that as well. So, yeah, a lot of stuff in there, guys. There you go. Jump on it. First two people to DM me, again, either on Discord or there on Twitter. Gets at them, okay? All right, guys. I hope you guys have a great week. Don't forget, I'll be live tomorrow morning about 8:40 a.m. on Scott Melker's show. We'll talk about 3 of my favorite charts for this week, just like we did last week. And hopefully we'll see you there, all right? All right, y'all take care. I'll see you on, let's see, Friday, I guess, right? Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff, whatever channel you're watching this on, okay? Follow me. Take care, everybody.